the Namibia Agronomic Board is implementing significant and proactive new border control measures, specifically for horticultural products. So these measures are anticipated to have substantial impact, prompting discussion into their intended purpose and potential outcomes. Now, are these measures designed to bolster and protect our dedicated local farmers, or do they carry the potential risk of impacting food availability and affordability for Namibians? Joining us to shed light on this is someone with her finger on the pulse of Namibia's horticulture landscape. Please welcome Emilie Abraham, Horticulture Market Development Manager at the Namibia Agronomic Board. Good morning, Emilie. It is great to have you with us.
Yes, good morning, Michael, and good morning to all listeners. I think I'm grateful to be on this platform this morning.
All right. So could you, let's start off. So could you explain the main purpose behind the Namibia Agronomic Board issuing this closed and open border notice for October 2025?
Thank you, Michael. I just want to start by explaining, I think, drawing now the conversation from how you describe it from the beginning to say, are we doing justice to the consumers? Are we protecting farmers only and perhaps overlooking our consumers? And perhaps I might just highlight at the beginning that we are prioritizing three key fundamental stakeholders on daily basis, which are now the traders, the buyers, because without the buyers, then our farmers are not able to sell. And then we have now the main one, which is the consumer, because without the consumers, nobody will be able to take produce that will be on the shelves. And then the primary producers, which are the farmers. So those are the key three fundamental stakeholders that we put into consideration for every deliberate effort, for every initiative, for every intervention that we are implementing. Those three key fundamental stakeholders are put into consideration. So coming to start by explaining why are we doing it? What does it mean? So the closed and open border periods implementation, it's actually part of what we call market share promotion scheme. A scheme that was established to promote the sale of locally produced product and stimulate local production of horticultural product in the country. If you look back then, in 2005, you'll be able to agree with me that 95% of our horticultural produce was coming from outside, mainly South Africa. And that is where now MSP was born, to look at it to say, look, we cannot continue depending on other countries for food. We need also to start doing something. And hence, MSP was then born as a growth at home strategy for us to grow home. So when we talk about now growth, obviously we have to grow something that is still young, or a baby or infant. And if I have to use the metaphor from the, for example, family perspective, when you have a small baby in the family, you have to do all means, you have to do all the strategy to make sure that this baby one day will be able to stand on her feet or his feet and be able to walk. Because she can't feed herself, she can't eat. Even if she can eat, you can't also put her together with the bigger ones, because otherwise they will outcompete her, and eventually you see that she will develop kwashiorkor symptoms or malnutrition symptoms. And that's why if you now bring it back to the Namibian concept, Namibia industry, horticulture industry in particular, is a baby. If we allow now the producers that are now toiling and having courages to be under the sun for them to produce food for ourselves, if we allow them to compete with other producers in other countries, let me give reference to South Africa, where we normally get most of our product. For them, the farmers in the other side, they have muscle, they have economics of scale. They are sourcing their production inputs from their country, unlike us that we are importing almost everything.
Yeah.
We are importing seed, we are importing fertilizers, we are importing the agrochemicals such as the pesticide. We are importing almost everything. So, but for them, they are sourcing everything there in their country, and hence their production cost is very lower. You find that a Namibian producer will even produce a crop probably double to what the South African producer is producing. Yeah. And that's why that competition already can be a throat-cut competition to our farmers. And hence we look at it to say, let us identify out of 136 horticultural products that we import from outside. Let us identify, we started with 2, which was onion and potato.
Yeah.
And then we end up gradually increasing because our farmers were also inspired. They were now encouraged. They started now expanding their field. And currently we are standing at 20 out of 136. So what we look at it is to say those crops, they were listed as the main crop that we Namibian consumer consume in a larger quantity. Yeah. And also our farmers are also able to produce it in a larger quantity at a certain period of time. And hence now for us, we don't just wake up in the bath and decide to close the borders and say the borders are closed for beetroot, for example. What we normally do is that we register farmers free of charge. And I want to encourage those that are not registered to be registered so that we have a clear picture of who is producing what and where is that farmer. So every month we collect the data so that we focus to see. In October, for example, are we able to have enough beetroot in the, supply in the local market? Or do we need probably traders to import in so that they augment the local volume? So what we normally do is that we do research, we collect the data from the farmers themselves. Sometimes we even drive to the farmers to verify.
Yeah.
So we collect the data, they tell us, no, I planted the cabbages, what, I expected to harvest this tonnage. We then aggregate those figures, and then we have a clear picture that the country can bring on the table sufficient quantity that can feed our people.
Yeah.
So that is basically what we normally do. And then that is when we close the borders when we have enough, with the understanding that our farmers can carry the stomach of our consumers. And whenever the markets are coming to us, we are able to refer them to people or individuals that are planting specific crops.
Yeah. So you mentioned quite a lot of important factors there. What are the key factors that determine which horticulture product are open or closed for import during this period?
Yes, there is actually a lot of factors that are involved. I spoke about earlier the quantity that farmers are able to bring on the table. Say, for example, you find that on the notice you find some crops are open without restriction. But we still emphasize to say 47% MSP is applicable. So what it means is that those farmers, the crops that are open without restriction, it means that our farmers are able to bring on the table a very small quantity below 47%. That's what it means, because 47% is our threshold. Okay? So if you see that the crop is closed, for example, on a pro rata basis, meaning that we have farmers that are able to bring on the table maybe 80%, for example, for beetroot, but the 20% need to come from outside the country. So what we normally do is that we allocate each and every trader to say, look, you can bring this quantity for you to augment the quantity in the local, or that is coming from the local farmers. So then you have some of them, they have maybe 50% or 40% because it differs. Because it depends on the local supply or local availability. But again, I do not want to call it as a ban, because some people, they say, Namibia ban, what? Because this is just a periodic restriction that we do based on the availability. So if we realize, for example, because we don't sleep, we keep on monitoring the production. And once we realize that, I think maybe mid-October, we are slacking a little bit on gem squash, and we closed it earlier on. Then obviously we have to lift the restriction, or we loosen a bit and we open, because our main idea, or our ultimate goal, is to enhance food security in the country. When we talk about food security, its availability is one of the key elements of food security.
Yeah.
You need to have food available on the shelf for everyone. When I go to ShopRite, I must be able to access an apple. And that's why we are very skeptical. We are always assessing. We go through the shop, even when we walk around, you find me walking around, I'm checking. So we also call them, ask, are you fine? Or maybe something happened to your crops or something. Some of them, they voluntarily tell us because we encourage them and educate them to say, look, you need to tell us when you see that your product is no longer marketable, or maybe you experience a pest problem outbreak that is beyond your control.
Yeah.
So you need to inform us so that we are able to lift the restriction and allow the traders to bring in the produce, because the main idea of this closed border period, it's not to hamper businesses, because we acknowledge that the businesses, they are employing our people, and without for those businesses, obviously our sisters and brothers will be stranded in the street. And that's why, like I said from the beginning, we strike the balance, and whatever that we do, we have consideration of our key fundamental stakeholders, which is now consumers. They are included, traders are included, and also producers are included. But again, I want to emphasize it, Michael, to say Namibia needs to grow.
Yeah.
And when something needs to grow, you need to implement some approach. They might be seen aggressive, but at least the industry will think later.
Yeah. You mentioned to strike a balance, and so you probably have mentioned you have probably mentioned this a little bit earlier on. But how does now the board decide on, especially on the pro rata importation percentage for certain product, and what impact does this have now on the local producers?
Yes. What normally happens is that if we realize we search, let me give an example, for example, of maybe cabbage. Yeah. Just a specific crop. If we realize that our farmers, when we aggregated the figure, they are only able to satisfy 70% of our domestic demand, because we are already clear as to what quantity Namibia require for specific crop. Yes. Now, what happened is that once we realize that our farmers, if we consume only 300 tonnage of cabbage, for example, per month. Yeah. And our farmers can only bring about maybe 200 and something, but there is still slight, a significant volume that we are not able to source it anywhere. That's what normally informs the prolata to say we are opening it not 100% but partially to allow the traders to bring in the quantity that they cannot source locally. And hence earlier on I indicated to say what we do, we calculate. We look at the trader requirement for a specific crop because they have the demand for each crop. They have to say, for example, for me per week, I normally trade, or I normally sell, or I normally, sell. Let's use the word sell. Yeah. I normally transact or sell, 100 tons, for example, of cabbage per week, or maybe per month. Then we calculate now based on that to say if it's a 100, then you are only supposed to bring in 70 cabbages. 30 cabbages, you source them from where? From the local market. I mean, no. If it's 30%, it means that 70 has to come from the local, 30 has to come from outside. So we tell you that strictly you bring in only 30 cabbages. So that is how the prolata is being calculated and being managed. Okay. And like I said again, we keep on monitoring to see if anything happens, because there are things that can happen beyond the farmer control. For example, during rain season, you might experience some challenges where the field is flooded. For example, if the field is flooded and the farmer is not able to harvest, for example, then you will have a situation where you have to lift the restrictions. Yeah. So that you allow the traders to be able to bring in the volume that our farmers are not able to supply. So our consideration mainly, it's more on the availability of stock. The stock must be available, whether it's being imported whether it's coming from local, it must be available. However, we take cognizance of the fact that our traders, they should be encouraged all the time to support the local available product.
Okay.
They can then import only when it's absolutely necessary. So, and again, maybe I must also point out that during border closure, we also don't allow any farmer to inflate the price.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to inflate the price at all. It's a standing rule in the MSP rules and procedures.
But Emilie, how do you control that?
It's very simple, Michael. What we normally do is that the traders, they come back to us and report.
Uh-huh.
Because these are the people that transact with each other. So once they realize that now Emilie cabbage was $15 per head, but when the borders closed this month, now she increased the cabbage to, for example, let's say 25 because the borders are closed. And it's something that happened also in the past.
Yeah.
Because there's always those ones that are trying to be smart for the system. So what we normally do is that we investigate you as a farmer, and once we realize that the investigation or the allegation holds water, we then have to advise you to go back to the normal price as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And they normally comply because they know that it's non-compliance, and there is actually punitive measures that we normally take.
Okay. So what are some challenges traders now face with these border controls, and how does the board support them?
Yes, normally what happens is that because anything in life, you find that there will always be challenges.
Yeah.
Although if you are far from the fire and you are not the pot,
yeah,
you might not feel how hot the fire is. You find that sometimes the farmers, they will be the traders will be complaining to say, the farmer that you are telling me is very far.
Mm.
And in South Africa there, I will be able to just find already things ready to load, and then I come for convenience. But what you always say is that, or probably they will also come to say, yeah, the Namibian products, some of them, they are very expensive. So we want to buy from there, especially when the price, for example, in South Africa is very, very low.
Yeah.
But again, the funny part is that when South Africa increase their price for some product, they start to come running again. They want to apparently now refer as a producer of a certain product we want to buy locally, because obviously they saw that there the price is high.
Yeah.
And that is why I always say that we need to strike a balance, because in life the inconveniences will always be there. And if we keep on now saying that farm A is very far, we can't support farm A, you'll be able to find yourself in the situation that COVID-19 maybe will be back, or maybe COVID 2026. And we have an issue there at the borders and so many things and restrictions, and you are unable to bring product from other countries while you have killed yours. Now, where will you get now product? And that's why we are saying that we need to strike the balance. And that's why we normally encourage them to say, look, you need to arrange. If, for example, you have a shop in Opuo, and you send a truck every week in Opuo, and that farmer is in Opuo, discuss with the farmer so that the farmer can bring the produce, the sender the nearest Opuo, and you can pick the product when the truck is coming back to Windhoek.
Yeah.
So it's an arrangement that have worked with others. So there's nothing difficult in life, I believe. So solution can always be made with the consideration that we need to grow our people so that one day we are able to stand on our feet. And I tell you, Michael, it's not to say Namibia will continue to be like this.
Yeah.
If with the necessary support, one day our farmers are able also to expand and be able to have muscle to compete. And obviously we will not have this border closure or restrictions. So all what we are doing is that we are preparing a baby to grow, start working and start school and start competing with others. So that is all what we are doing.
All right. Now, you're talking about we will be able to grow, but in terms of market sustainability, how does the open and closed border system help protect Namibia's farmers and markets?
Yes, that's a good question, Michael, and I've been waiting for it. Look, when you close the border for a specific product, it means that you have created 100% market access.
Yeah.
So what it means is that you close the border, for example, for a specific month, and you say, all the farmers that have cabbages must first sell, and once they finish, we can then lift the restriction. So that in that way now you create a space that is convenient or that is favorable to a producer to be able to sell.
Yeah.
And I can tell you it's all about market. Without market, there is no need for a farmer to produce because you won't recoup what you have invested in a crop. If we want to discourage the farmers from planting, just remove the market access and you see that there's nobody who is willing to participate in production.
Yeah.
So that's why with this already scheme, I need to highlight perhaps just for you also and the listener to say, when we implemented this scheme, we were only able to produce 5%. That was a long time. But today we are able to produce 47%. We are owning 47% on our Namibian supermarket shelf. And with some product like cabbages, mostly 100% or 98% of cabbages we sell there are on. And if you look at even some butternuts, even watermelons, which is even very difficult to transport, even if you open the borders, traders will find it difficult to transport watermelon in any ways. So those things, those cooker beets, we are able to produce them in a larger quantity such that we can say and be confident to say this is our own. So obviously it's very clear that the closed border period is helping and we are seeing a tremendous growth in the sector. And we are also confident that maybe by 2030 or beyond, we are able to see Namibia be able to produce most of the crop like 100% of what we consume. And that is what we are looking toward to see if we are talking about food sovereignty, if we are talking about food security or food self-sufficiency. Those are the direction that we need to start thinking to see how do we support our farmers through creating market access. And I think that closed and open border by far, I can confidently say that it's really helping a lot of farmers. And I can tell you, we even have what we call an official WhatsApp group. Every time the farmers are sending us information and we are posting, and they are so happy to give us positive feedback to say, we have sold everything and we are so happy. We see what you are doing.
Okay. And how are exclusion handled within these import regulations? And what categories of goods or traders might benefit from such exclusions?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. So what normally means is that when you pick a product for you to say you now start closing the borders, you need to investigate that product. Because an onion is not just an onion. An onion has a bigger family.
Yeah.
An onion has also sister crop. What do I mean? If you look at, for example, onion, there is brown onions, there is that white onions that people use for salad. There's also red onions, the one that people were buying during COVID-19. So there's quite a lot of onions, and there's also shallots, the onion that is combined with garlic.
Yeah.
So, and it comes with a different flavor and so forth. So what you normally do is that before you decide which line you should close for importation, you investigate and you check which product of that specific line that you are able to produce in a larger quantity.
Yeah.
And that's why as we speak now, the onion that we close for importation, when we say onion is closed, is only the brown onions, the one that commonly you find in the shops. So excluding now the red onions, excluding the shallot onions, excluding now those whitish onions that are used for salad and any other related onion product that we don't produce in Namibia. So basically, just to answer your question is to say anything that Namibia does not produce or we produce on a very limited quantity, we put it under exclusion because we cannot close border for something that is not available. So we only close the border for something that is available or that can be available at one particular point of time.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Are there any particular products or crops that you foresee to be more affected by the border closures in this October?
The crop probably in a bad way or in a good way.
Well, both could be in a bad way or in a good way. Yeah.
Yes, let me start maybe in a good way. I'll start, for example, with onions. Onion is a crop that we produce in a larger quantity.
Yeah.
And I would say that Namibia is very competitive when it comes to onion. To some stage, we even end up exporting to South Africa as well when they had the load shedding problem.
Yeah.
And we are also exporting our onion to DRC and also Angola. So it's a product that our produce quality. So when we close now the border, for example, for onions, because now we are approaching summer, or in any case, we are already in summer, and that is now the season for onions. Most of the farmers, they would actually even find themselves struggling because then the price also has to go down because there are a lot in the market. So you find that onions, despite when the borders are closed, the price is so favorable, the traders are not complaining, producers are also protected from the onion that is coming from outside. I think in any case, onion and other products that we normally expect to have in a larger quantity during summer months, you find that farmers, at least they are relieved in terms of the burden to compete with the products from outside. So that is just basically to create now the space to say, okay, sell what you have, and if we don't have any more, we can then open. But however, there are some products that you find that, for example, that are open.
Yeah.
If the product is open, it's actually, I'll put it to say, it affects negatively some farmers. Because if a product is open, it means that a trader has a choice to source anywhere.
Yeah.
And I have the liberty to actually buy from, for example, outside if the price is too low. So if then a lot of farmers are not in, and there is only maybe one or two farmers that are in and they have smaller volume, you find that they might actually suffer in terms of price because they won't be able to compete with the price.
Yeah.
Their counterparts in other countries are selling. So normally the issue that comes, the negative impact, is for the products that are open. And that's why you always encourage farmers to say, let us work together, let us coordinate. It cannot be true that this season we have a lot and we are wasting, and the other season we don't have anything, we have only few farmers that are in. Because those few farmers that are in will actually suffer, because then they'll be forced to reduce their price to the level of the import parity, or maybe what South Africans are selling, so that they'll be able to compete with their counterpart in South Africa or in other areas.
Yeah.
So normally the negative impact will come when the borders are open on the side of the producer, but then the trader, it comes with a lot of benefits because they have liberty to source wherever they want, and they choose wherever there is also a cheaper price. And they can also go to the farmers and say, look, there is onion there in South Africa, it's $4. So give me a $5 set if you want me to buy you. So they have actually that freedom, and they can actually use that period to make money. But all we can say is that we can't close something that is not available.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. So there's actually season for happiness and season for sadness or something, if I have to put it that way.
Now looking at Namibia's broader goals, for example, how do these border measures align with Namibia's broader agricultural and economic policy goals?
I think we align in so many ways. I will start with food security, for example, the goal that everybody at all levels think about. We always talk about food security. It's a buzzword.
Yeah.
So for you to achieve food security for a specific country, obviously you need to start encouraging your producers to produce more. Because then there's even an idiom that I might not say it clearly, but it's always said that a hunter, until you start hunting on your own, you always be given maybe even skin or fat or something.
Emilie, there's a quick commercial coming up,
okay.
And then we continue.
Thank you so much.
Titanium, the perfect fit between platinum and silver, complementing our existing benefit options. We always offer comprehensive healthcare experience. NHP, the premier member-centric medical aid fund. Visit NHP today at nhp.com.na. NHP, we're about you.
All right. So we were looking at the broader whether the border measures are aligning up with Namibia's broader agricultural and economic policy goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. What I was trying to say is that we are very much aligned. And if you look at, for example, the closed and open border, like I explained earlier on, is to say we are creating market access to encourage and stimulate local production. And for you to achieve now the goal that everybody is speaking about, food security, enhancing food security, you can only achieve it when your own, they are able to produce enough food for consumption for your country. Because in any case, if you can't produce your own food and you are depending in other countries for food, you are basically not 100% food security, secured. Although you can argue to say, I can actually access whatever food I want in the shop. You will never be food secured if you are not able to produce at least 50% of what you consume.
Yeah.
And that is why, if you look at this scheme, it has actually increased food production to nearly 50%. And we are now targeting to reach 60% in 2030. So that's already on its own. It shows you that with this scheme, we are able one day to call ourselves food security or food secured. So for me, in that case, we are aligned.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, if you are having unhappy farmers that are not able to sell, and you are saying that these are the same farmers that should be able to contribute to food security, then that dream is a lie. So I think we are very much aligned, and the more people are expanding the field when we are increasing production, the more they are creating jobs for the people, and the more we are also having a production capacity for the country to industrialize from. And remember, we are also not adding value. And one of the factors is that our production capacity is also low for industrialization for some crops.
Yeah.
But the moment we increase production, then you also have surpluses that one can actually run a sustainable industry to add value on a specific crop. So it's so many things. It comes with the indirect benefit and direct benefits, and I think I'm very confident to say we are very much aligned, and without creating 100% market access for the Namibian farmer, then food security, achieving food security one day will be a lie.
All right. So, and how does monitoring and enforcement work to ensure compliance with these import restrictions?
Monitoring, what happened is that the MSP is being assessed per quarter. So we assess individual traders per quarter. They submit their monthly returns to us, and then we assess you as Michael to say what percentage did you buy from local farmers, and what percentage did you import. If Michael imported 98% and you only bought 8% from the local farmers, unfortunately, we have to allocate you a specific quantity so that we are able to encourage you to go back to the local farmers. So they are being assessed individually. It's an individualistic assessment, and you can actually there's also some punitive measures that will be able to encourage a trader to be able to source from our local farmers. So it's not something just to say we are just saying MSP is what, but we do assessment. And they know very well. They submit the relevant document. We assess them. Those that are below the MSP, they will be allocated a restricted amount. Those ones that have done great job, because there are those ones that are doing a great job. You find that they even bought more than the threshold. They even bought maybe 78% of what they sold in that period is actually just from local, either 80%. So those people, we then reward them. We give them an incentive of unlimited, to say you are allowed to import without restriction in so many products that are open. However, you must take into cognizance that you still need to comply with the 47%. And a lot of them, they are striving to get that incentive of unlimited. And that's why you find that they really, we are improving every day. You find that they are coming to us to look, where do I get this product? Where do I get this product? So it's quite a very busy organization or an office. So we are busy in connecting all the time, the farmers, the trader buyers, the trader. They also want to achieve and boost their MSP so that they won't be penalized.
All right. So, and how important is you have stakeholders that you mentioned earlier on. How important is the stakeholders' engagement in shaping this import and border policies, and how is it facilitated?
Yes, we actually prioritize stakeholder relations or engagement, and you find that part of our key strategic objective is to enhance the stakeholder engagement. And you find that every month, or maybe probably quarterly basis, because we have people on the ground that deals with the farmers, and they will find that they are basically engaging the farmers through meetings. We also do trainings when we pick up, for example, their needs. When we are engaging them, then we realize there's specific needs. We arrange trainings for them as well. And for the traders also, we also engage them. We have what we call a national forum. A national forum normally sits twice.
Yeah.
Although sometimes we also sit on hard work basis if there's an industry need that need to be resolved. So what that forum comprises of is that there is consumer represented there, there is trader represented there, association, there's also informal market represented there, there is also producers represented there, the banking institutions that are financing the industry. Almost all the stakeholders they come together, they sit, and we discuss now challenges that hampering the production and also the horticulture industry at large. And that is where most of the resolutions are being taken. We recommend now for board approval. And that's why you find that even when it comes to addition of product, when we are adding new product, we are not only deciding to add product, but we do a proposal, we present it at the stakeholder forum, and then look at it to say, no, NAB, you can't add this product. We are not ready for now. Even farmers are there, even traders. Or they can say, yes, we are ready, we are prepared. It can be produced in a larger quantity, and hence we can add it. So all the decisions that we take or the board take, it is basically also it's an industry decision. We seek industry approval for us to be able to take all the decisions that you see. Even initiatives, everything, even the document, the MSP rules and procedures that is guiding our scheme where the closed and open borders now is emanating from. It is actually consisted of rules that were comprised by the industry itself, and that's why when we are implementing this, they have no problem because it is their rules. So we are highly consultative, and that's why I'm proud to say that we are actually one of the organizations that is very engaging, and we are engaging our traders and producers, consumer, everybody on a daily basis.
Okay. Maybe you could also shed light on a cross-border cooperation with neighboring countries regarding these horticultural trade relations. What is the relationship with our neighboring countries?
Yes, obviously, it's normal to have a good relationship, or that is also sometimes will not be really good.
Yeah.
Even if we come from the village where we come from, you find that if you have, for example, your goats and your goat happen to go in someone's field, at some point you might not even start talking, and because of that. Or maybe sometimes you are also doing something that the neighbor is feeling that it's supposed not to be done this way. So I can tell you, Michael, that there are things that I would say that our neighbors might not be happy.
Yeah.
Yes, because especially when it comes to closed and open borders, obviously you are trading partners. Somebody is producing, for example, for your country, or the producers are producing for your country, targeting the market. And at a certain point, you close the borders, they are not able to enter through. So obviously they will feel that, no, you are being unfair, and they're supposed to bring in their product. But Michael, if you look at it, either globally, you find that in most of the countries, they are actually implementing some restrictions somewhere, even if it's not on horticulture, but on some different commodities.
Exactly.
For the industry to be able to pick up and also stand on its feet. And that's why you find that, yes, some of the things you listen to them and be able to sit down and resolve them, but it takes time for people to understand what you are doing. To understand.
Yeah.
So, that I will really agree with you that some neighbors might not be happy, but all I can say is that if I have to be in particular, for example, the South African that we are trading mostly, they're actually even gaining more as compared to us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at the money that the import bill, it's quite very high.
Yeah.
Because even if we get almost everything from South Africa. So, and taking only 20 crops that you are closing borders for to grow your industry, I don't think really it's a very big deal. It's something just that requires, I think, sitting and then reach amicable solution, which is, I know already the sittings are ongoing.
Yeah.
And I think eventually we'll be able to understand each other. But all I'm saying is that I can say confidently that every country at a certain stage has to take a step that Namibia has taken if you are to grow a certain industry.
Yeah.
But we are not saying that we have to remain like this permanently, but someone has to cry for someone to laugh.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And looking
Yes.
ahead, are there plans to, like, maybe to modify or expand the framework for border control and import regulation beyond October 2025?
There's always a plan because MSP, it's a live document.
Yeah.
And the close and open border also, it's a live implementation. We are not static because unfortunately we are dealing with a product that is highly perishable.
Mm-hmm.
So horticulture is highly perishable. Anything can happen to it anytime. You just came back from the field, you saw that the cabbages, they look fine, but in the afternoon when you go there, maybe there's something that happened or the rain comes and then destroyed everything.
Yeah.
So it's a live document. I mean, we keep on doing some adjustment here and there depending on the availability. And like I said, we don't just keep something closed for the sake of closing. We keep it closed based on the availability in the local market. If there is nothing, we have to open so that we allow the traders to import in to augment what is available locally.
Okay. Emilie, any last word on this topic?
Yes, I just want to probably lastly to say that I'm happy with what you are doing, Eagle FM team.
Thank you.
I think platforms like this, they are needed so that we clarify because you never know what is happening there until you ask.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that we are improving every year in, year out. If you look at where we started, we are improving. A lot of initiatives are coming on board. And currently we are even today, actually, we are launching our crop development strategy, which actually encompasses a lot of things such as agro-processing, value addition, a lot of things also. So and also potato development scheme, because we realize that we are also lagging behind in terms of potato. We love potato, but we don't produce it enough. We are actually importing it at 65%, and that's why we want to boost it through introducing a scheme, which is going to be a very interesting scheme, and I know farmers will be able to be enticed and apply.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that we need to work together as industry, and I'm very, very enthused that the media also on your side, you are coming on board.
Yeah.
So we can only do something impactful when we work together. Trust me, I like to say this. If you are a soldier and you are faced with an enemy somewhere, you can't fight alone. You need food soldiers to fight together.
Yeah.
And when you talk about food security for me, or insecurity in this country, for me, a battle on its own, and we need to hold hands. We need to support each other. Where there is clarity that is needed, we need to seek it so that we get clarification. We also need to give our input. Our doors are open. You can come in and you can say, why don't you think we do A, B, C, D? I think that is the only way we are able to grow. And I can tell you, if you never been criticized, whether in a bad way or good way, you will never improve. So we are open for criticism. And I want to tell you that we are trying where we can so that we can grow this industry. And in case of the farmers, we see you, we value you. Please continue to toil for us in the field. And we can only eat because of you. So please continue. We will continue to put intervention in place that are favorable for everyone and also to protect everyone. So I think that is just the word that I have. And also farmers must also start to share ideas among each other, not fighting each other, but rather complement each other's efforts.
All right. Thank you, Emilie, for joining us on Unpacking the Day. We appreciate you taking the time to clarify these complex decisions. And thank you again. And we look forward to having you back as these policies unfold. So thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Michael. It was also great to have you, and have a blessed day ahead.
Thank you.